Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hello, everybody. So I'm standing here today because I'm seeing a positive trend. A lot of people, a lot of companies are talking more about diversity. The data also shows that lately more and more people are researching the topic diversity. But this also sparked me from a different perspective. Why? For example, when I go to Unsplash, I type in diversity, I always get somebody from color or a woman. But it's not only about the color or your race, but the diversity for me is more than that. So I also learned it on the hard way, because back in the days, I always thought I'm very diverse because I'm from Amsterdam, all my friends have their own background, so I thought, okay, we are quite diverse. Till my girlfriend said, Desmond, you're far from diverse. It's fun, all your friends have all their own background, everybody has his own culture, own belief, but if you start talking, or one of your other friends start talking, it's all the same. You all have the same vision of school, work, sports, everything around that. And that's also from a company perspective. It's very nice to see that companies are hiring more people from color. So hey, let's do more with diversity. But the really important thing is cognitive diversity. So connecting with people that look different and think different. So I have a question for you all. If you're seeing something else than a tree, please put your hands up. One. So the first time that I also asked this question, everybody was also only seeing a tree. But a tree can also be like more than that. So like timber. But a tree can also be like a wooden plank. But a tree can also become a boat. And I think this is for me also cognitive diversity. So it's not only about seeing one thing, but accepting that you can see that there are different ways of seeing one thing. But also accepting different perspectives, because what we see a lot is that people can have different perspectives on a topic, but it doesn't mean that the person is against you. So try to accept, okay, yes, here they have a different perspective, accept it, and try to understand each other. But also diversity is for me also in the broader sense of the word. So not only about age, gender, but also think about somebody's role within a society. So in 2017, I started working for a Dutch legal tech company. All the company, everybody was from the upper class of the society, so quite posh. So I came there within the company because I wanted to thrive within an organization that's quite different than how I'm used to it. Started as SEO specialist there. And I got a feeling that people really tried to understand me. And it was very well what my manager did. He gave me the feeling that I've been that they understood me, and they saw my own perspective. And that's also within your team. So when you have a team, you have people that are more yellow, you have people that are more blue. For everybody, it's important to see like, okay, hey, person X is more yellow, how am I going to connect with these people? And person I is more blue, how am I going to connect with that person? So also as this company, I really believe, like with football, that you always have big star players. For example, left Arjen Robben, a famous Dutch football player. Mostly when you're playing football, everybody plays the ball to the big star player. What I really believe is giving the person that is like youthful, has a lot of new ideas, the opportunity to grow. So that person can also enlighten. And that's also from a company perspective, but also from a personal perspective. And this is something that I also acquired during my career. So working for a Dutch legal tech company as SEO specialist, we had a specific keyword that we wanted to rank on in 2017. We always hated the third and fourth position. is that someday we had a meeting with the founders, with a manager, with a freelance SEO specialist. And I had an idea. Nowadays it's quite simple. I said, like, let's put the focus keyword in front of the page title and let's see what happens, because nobody was doing that. Okay, what happened? We hit the first position. But that's not the reason that I'm telling this. The reason that I'm telling this is because I was in a room with people that had more experience than me, and still they managed to understand my perspective, my ideas, and implemented it. So teams that are cognitive diverse understand and anticipate customer needs easier. In this picture, you are seeing more than 70 years of experience, 10 different nationalities, and also a team that I worked with for 1.5 years. I think this was at Staples, the international office supply company. That was one of my first companies that I worked for in an international role. So within Staples, I had a question to set up like the European SEO strategy. But at some point with the Dutch national team, Arjen Robben left, Robin van Persie left, and also Wesley Sneijder. So a lot of A+ players left the Dutch national team. And as Dutchy, we always play the 4-3-3 tactics. That's like the Dutch way of playing football. But at some point, the coach said, okay, we need to play 5-3-2 because we were losing a lot. So does the same strategy always work? No. And this was also something that I learned on the hard way during my period at Staples. We had to set up an European marketing strategy, or SEO strategy. And I started with the Dutch market, and then I went to the German market, and everything went well. And I was like, okay, my French and my Spain colleagues, how are we going to implement this? I was direct, like we Dutchies are quite direct, so I was quite direct in my communication. So that was one thing that didn't went right. And the second thing was, in those countries, in 2018, they were focusing more on offline instead of online. So that was also another challenge. So what did I do? I copy-pasted the whole strategy, and I tried to implement it in those countries, and also tried to motivate them to implement it. No success. So what have I learned is that the same strategy doesn't always work, but also important to listen and don't to assume stuff. And when you're setting up a strategy, it's always important to localize, but also to take into account the perspective of another team, but also another person. So in 2021, I started my own company, Digital Base. When I started my company, I was quite happy. I had a lot of ideas. And mostly when I had an idea, a team member said, yes, Des, that's a great idea. So everybody was always positive, and I thought, oh, whoa, my ideas are always great. But that's not true, of course. So I have a question for you all. In the beginning of my company, I was focusing on a type of person during my hiring process. And based on what you've heard, please put your hands up if you think that I was hiring person A. And please put your hands up if you think I was hiring person B. The right answer is person A. So what I was doing is, I was always focusing on getting people with the same interest, with the same lifestyle, with almost everything the same, almost became friends. So that was also the reason that I always was hearing, yes, great idea, that's perfect, let's do this. But at the end, sometimes we saw it wasn't a great idea. So in the beginning, I was always focusing on person A, and now I'm focusing more on hiring person B. So someone with different interests, with different perspectives, and also with a different lifestyle. What is the reason? Because same input, constantly getting the same input would also give you the same output, and you become stuck in the same circle. So what also is a very interesting benefit of focusing on cognitive diversity from a company perspective is the profitability. I think something that everybody of you will love is that having a cognitive diverse team ensures you that you take decisions faster, but also having half the time of meetings, because I think everybody loves having less meetings. Or am I wrong? Another thing, SEO specialists, all the SEO specialists know, a lot of updates, constantly updating, constantly changing stuff. And that is something that during the year, but also this year, and will never change. But that's also a positive thing, because if you're going to focus on cognitive diversity, it's also looking from different perspectives. So, and that is something that we as marketers are doing a lot, looking to different perspectives, seeing new opportunities, and that is great. But in the beginning of my career, I was a panic. I was person A. When a change came, when something new came out, I was like, oh, my rankings, oh, my traffic, oh, my revenue. But now, for example, with all the new changes that are coming with the AI overview as example, I'm like, okay, cool. I will find a new opportunity, because finding opportunities there are a lot of opportunities that we can find together. So in Amsterdam, you have more than 80 plus different nationalities. And there are like a lot of international companies also in Amsterdam. But I think the interesting thing is to understand from a marketing perspective that there are a lot of different target audiences. And therefore, it's important to have a team that also is focused on, also contains of different target audiences. Think about different subcultures, because the amount of subcultures is growing and growing. So therefore, if you want to really understand your target audience from a client perspective, it's very important to also reflect that from a team perspective, because if everybody's thinking on the same way, you will get the same output. But the fun thing is, how are you going to implement everything? As a football manager, it's important to understand what are everybody's strengths and weaknesses. But also, what is your favorite position? And that's also from a team perspective, to understand, okay, person X is very strong in this specific skill, so I need to put that person in that position. And also the other way around. And that's also quite important for every team member. But even what's more important is to create an environment where everybody's heard and everybody's seen. So everybody can also give their own input and own feedback. Because you want to create a situation where you as manager put somebody in a position and that person also can give you the feedback back, like, hey, I want to change my position because of X, Y, and Z. So one of the first things that I did when starting my company was setting up a team representative. So what does it mean is that we create a situation where everybody can send them their IDs and that everybody can discuss within the team, without the founders, about, hey, what can we improve, what can be better, or what do we need to keep? So what is positive? Based on that, the team have a meeting, they discuss a lot, and then we get scores. Like, okay, and then we score everything, we prioritize everything, and then based on that, we can see what we are going to implement. But we also have like monthly sessions. So I'm not only talking about knowledge sessions, but more on sessions where you discuss, okay, for example, TikTok SEO was a recent one. What is your perspective on that? So more that somebody from the team is leading the meeting, but is asking everybody on their perspective. So not only sharing knowledge, but also discussing about specific topics. And that can be about everything. That can also be like, how do you deal with this type of clients? How do you work together in terms of with the advertising team? What is your perspective on that? I think that is very important to ensure within a company, within a team especially, to motivate people to share their perspective. But also a personal survey, because what I mentioned before, you have somebody that's yellow or red that really wants to share their voice during this type of meetings, because within the team representative, you always have some of the team members that are like very active, and some people just go automatically more to the back of the meeting. So therefore, you also want to give them the opportunity to share their feedback. And that's what we do with a personal survey. So also with a personal survey, it's also mandatory that you share the reason of giving us a specific number on a topic. Because for us, it's not only about the numbers, like scoring an 8+, but it's more about, okay, what is the reasoning behind that, so we can improve, understand, and otherwise, if we need to use it from another perspective, then we can also use it. But it's more about the reasoning, really understanding each other. But something that's also very important is giving everybody the same opportunity to grow, because that can be, based on my own experience within companies, that can be quite fake. Like, what are the steps or what are the skills that I need to obtain to go to the next level? So, and for us, it's like for all the company, it's just open. Everybody can see, like, okay, these are the steps to take to come, let's say, medium level 3 or a senior level. So it's quite clear for everybody on a team level. But also, when somebody apply within our company, or when somebody's seeing a vacancy, and for each vacancy we also have written down, like, if you don't meet all the requirements, please apply. Why? Because we can always check if we can find a role for you. So that is less only skills focused, but also more from a diverse perspective, that we can ensure that we can try to find an opportunity for everybody. Because what you mostly see, what I also had, is that, okay, I see a role, tick, tick, tick. No, that's not something that fits me. But I really like the company, so I'm not going to apply, because mostly you apply based on the requirements and not based on if you like a company. So that's why we're empowering just to apply. Something that's also very important is having an interview template. Just a template with questions to prevent asking biased questions, because it can easily during an interview, you can easily ask questions that can be quite biased from your own perspective, and that's why we always have like a template that everybody can use, or just for inspiration to see, like, hey, what type of questions can I ask that are quite neutral. But also personality test. I think it's quite interesting to see, like, okay, hey, if you're hiring somebody or also for your own team, what type of person is it? So you can also make a healthy balance of your team members. Because if you have like a team with only red people, I can assure you, if we had that also in the beginning, it won't work. Something what's also quite interesting when you're going to extend your team, focus on subgroups. So don't only go for LinkedIn or Indeed or all the other stuff that's quite general, but try to focus on subgroups. You know, just go to a subgroup, just send a moderator a message like, hey, I'm from company XYZ. I want to share my vacancy within your group. Is it interesting? Because you will get in contact with a lot of different type of people that will also enlighten you from all different perspectives. And you will have a lot of healthy discussions in your team. Something that I also want to share with everybody is that I went to Zanzibar, I had a conversation with the Maasai people, somebody from the Maasai people, and their perspective is also very interesting. That's what I do in most of the countries. I just go to random places, to villages, and I just go and get a conversation with the real local people and ask them, how do you see the West society? How do you see your society versus the West society? Just to get enlightened. So those insights, you can also use it from a personal perspective, but also from a company perspective, because I always like connecting with people that really do not think and look like me, because they help me a lot from a career perspective, because I'm like, oh, well, I never saw it from that perspective. And that's something that I really want to share with everybody of you. And I'm sharing like a lot of insights to connect with people that are different than yourself, and that also think different than yourself. But it's all not that easy as you think, especially when you have a team with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different subcultures, way of thinking. It can sometimes also clash. But I think what I said in the beginning is that ensure that everybody has decency to understand each other. I think that is the most important thing. Like, okay, you're focusing on this topic and you see it like this, and I'm seeing it like that. But I'm not agreeing with you, but I'm also not feeling that I'm against you. And that is something that's very important. And it's also something that comes with time. So in the beginning, I was hearing a lot, yes, Des, that's a great idea. And now I'm often hearing, hey, take into account person X. But also, Des, maybe it's also good to take into account this topic. But also, no. That's it. Thank you all for your time. So, one last thing I want to ask you all. Which insight are you going to implement? Share it with me via LinkedIn. You can just make a picture of this QR code, and I'm very looking forward to hear if anybody of you is going to implement some of these insights. That's it. Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.